and
Oddworld.
Hey oddballs, I'm your host Jensen, and welcome to episode 156. All right, I'm so excited because we're jumping back into the psychic book. I don't really have much to say, so let's get into it. It's
Lesson time.
Today's psychic lesson is childhood experiences of psychic intuition. The dreams you had in your childhood could very well have been psychic in nature. Dreams, like other psychic experiences, may deal with past events or future events, or they may provide insight into situations that are occurring at the time of the dream. Dreams are a great way to receive psychic information because the conscious, analytical mind is at rest, and you are open to communication from your unconscious and your universal mind. Think about the dreams you had as a child. Do you remember any? If so, ask yourself these questions. Can you recall if your dreams had a theme? Did you have a certain dream that occurred over and over? Can you identify the historical time period and or location of any dreams? Did you have symbolic dreams that may not have made sense when you had them, but that you might better understand at this point in your life? Did you have any dreams that identified situations in your life before you experienced them? Did you have recurring nightmares? Did you have dreams that were different but followed a related theme? Did you have dreams in which dead relatives or others who had passed over communicated with you? Did you have angels, guides, or other beings or animals come to you in your sleep to comfort you and or offer you advice? Did you ever have dreams of flying or going to places that you've never been before? Do you recall any other types of dreams from your childhood that may have been of psychic nature? You can investigate the answers to these questions in a relaxed state as you connect with your inner knowing through your third eye. Trust your intuitive mind to give you the right answers. You may not remember any of the dreams you had as a child, and that's okay. Dreams are only one way to connect to your natural psychic ability. Okay, so I have very vivid dreams, and I don't know about you guys, but my dreams are so vivid and they're just so weird. I used to have a dream when I had bunk beds when I was younger where I would literally be falling from the sky, and then I'd wake up and it's like I fell through the top bunk into my bottom bunk, and I would literally shake on the bed as if I had just fallen on the bed. That happened quite a bit when I was younger until we got rid of the bunk beds. And I have no idea what that means, but that was one that was reoccurring. And then another one, I have had dreams where I've flown before. And truthfully, a lot of my dreams were either deja vu or just completely off the wall craziness, random. Honestly, it gives me the chills when I think back to all the weird, creepy dreams that I've had. But maybe I'll have to do a whole dreams episode or something. I don't know. But I will say the only one that I know for sure is some kind of, and this is in quotes, but psychic dream. Really, it's just my body telling me to wake up. But I always have dreams where if I really have got to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I will have dreams where the bathrooms are either really, really disgusting, but there's a million bathrooms in the place that I have to pee, and I can't use any of them because they're all just so freaking gross. Or the toilets will be oddly high, and so I have to climb up to get to the toilet, so it's impossible. But usually the toilets are really just disgusting and I can't ever use them, and then I will end up waking myself up and then I have to get up and go to the bathroom. That's not psychic at all, but it's just interesting. It's interesting how your body can tell you through your dreams, hey, get up because you're gonna pee yourself. But anyhow, if you guys have that kind of dream or any other kind of dreams, I would really love to hear them. And let's go ahead and move on to stories.
This comes from powerful_crow_8373 on Reddit.
I have been in my job for over a year, close to 2. When I first started, everything felt genuinely safe, and I never felt anything weird as in ghostly or anything of that sort. I work graveyard shift, as some call it, 9 to 5 nighttime hours. For context, the first time me and a coworker got spooked, it was just me and her in the building, and we clearly heard a door slam. Now, this isn't any normal door. It's a big, heavy metal door. We possibly thought that maybe an officer had gone into the area, and since our cameras weren't working, we ran to the window we have to see if anyone ever came out in the hallway, and no one did. We shrugged it off, but that night, we both stayed together in the same room until officers came back into the building closer to shift change. Some months later, I needed to go retrieve some items from the evidence room, and I think that's when things really started to amp up. I walked in, and the room had 2 dim lights in it. They lit up enough to see where you were in the room, but it definitely wasn't full light. Being the curious person I am, I started to look around. Being relatively new, I never really went into evidence for anything, and curiosity got the best of me. They had a large glass display on the wall that showed crime scene photos taken, and it had enough things in it that I wanted to see, that I pulled out my phone, turned on my light, and started shining it into the case to see the rest of the photos. I was amazed, but knowing I needed to get back to work, I walked out with the items. But when I went back to return the items, I felt what you would describe as fear, or just genuinely feeling anxious about going back into there for some reason. It was just a weird, spooky feeling. Well, in the next months, I would sometimes hear people talking in the offices that I knew for a fact were unoccupied, or I would catch a glimpse of a dark figure, or what I thought was a coworker, in the middle of the hallway and immediately look, and there was no one at all. It has happened multiple times in the 1.5 years I've been here. Until one night, it really picked up. My shift had just begun, and I had sat down to settle in, and my coworker goes, "Who the fuck is that?" And another stated, "Close the door." I was like, "What?" And they told me, "We just saw someone with long hair go in there." And I was like, "Well, go check." He was an officer, after all, who was armed. He said, "Well, if she needs help, she can call us over the radio." Since there was another person in that room, they had clearly seen this person or thing walk into. It was left at that, and everyone eventually dispersed from the area we were in. As the previous shift left, it was only me and a few other coworkers left in the building that would eventually need to leave the building for whatever calls and whatnot. Well, at around 3 a.m., I decided to switch the lights off as my head was starting to hurt a little, and I sat back down. And that's when I heard what I know to be the main door entrance. My eyes darted to the screen that shows all of our cameras, and I didn't see anyone in the lobby or go into our restroom. But I thought, surely if they did go into the restroom, I'll hear the toilet flush or I'll see them. I waited, and no one came out. I thought maybe I was spooking myself out, but then I heard a door slam in the area behind mine. Again, it's heavy, large metal doors that need to be slammed to be closed. They don't just open or close with the draft from the AC. My coworker, who would usually be in the area, had gone home an hour early, and all officers were on the streets on a call. I tried to brush it off by just looking at my phone and computer screens, but I couldn't shake the feeling of someone or something staring at me. I finally got up the courage to stand up and turn the lights on, and found 2 cabinets in our kitchen area to be wide open. I immediately came and sat down. I just didn't know what to do. I wanted to take my mind off spooking myself, but nothing was working. I began monitoring again, and then I felt it. Like the hair behind my ears was being pulled lightly. I could feel and sense someone was sitting in the chair behind mine, staring at me. And I could hear a very specific crunch sound the wall made when someone sat in the chair and twisted in the chair. It was like a very, very slow turn. Eventually, I knew my shift was almost over, and I grew enough balls to go to the kitchen and close the cabinets. And when I walked over, the cabinets were closed. I had 20 minutes left in my shift, and in those 20 minutes, I had an officer stand with me in the doorway the whole time. I took the next week off, and I didn't hear or see anything after. Maybe it was the ghost way of telling me to use my vacation time, or it was just the stress of the job. Either way, I still tell my coworkers this place is haunted, and occasionally I'll still get the feeling of being watched in different areas of the building. So I find it really funny that the armed officer doesn't want to go in and check. Like, come on, dude, you're armed. And aren't you technically trained for things like this? I don't know. Maybe I'm being just mean now, but I honestly just find that to be hilarious. But I'm not saying that in this evidence room there's evidence from murders, but there could be. So maybe whatever is in the evidence room, there's evidence from a murder. And maybe there is a spirit who is attached to the evidence and now they're haunting the place. I mean, truthfully, that makes the most sense to me, just because when people pass away, depending on what items that is left behind and whatever they take in for evidence, it could be a ring, it could be something that they clung on to here in this life and now they're clinging on to it in the afterlife. Honestly, it could be that. But also, the place could just be haunted. It could just be haunted by any kind of spirit, depending on always the land, how old the building is, where the building is. I mean, it could just be a spirit who is attached to somebody there. I mean, it could be a lot of things, but the one that makes the most sense to me is maybe there is something in the evidence room that this spirit is attached to. Now, wouldn't that be wild? Maybe you guys should start talking to the spirits or spirit that resides there and figure out who they are. Because if they're attached to the evidence, maybe they can help lead you to the person who did the crime. God, wouldn't that be something? Either way, this one gives me the chills because I can't imagine sitting there late at freaking night and then having all this stuff go on behind you and around you and literally at one point just being by yourself when you're not expecting it, when you're not wanting it and you're not expecting it. That's when it's spooky. I mean, personally, I want to come and investigate, but this person is just doing their job. So I don't think they're running to like investigate or do anything like that. But honestly, I think it'd be really cool if they tried to talk to this spirit, because if they're connected, like I said, to the evidence in the evidence room, ooh, I might need a part 2. But what do you guys think? I'm curious to hear your ideas. And let's go ahead and move on to the next story.
This comes from Digital-Nomad on Reddit.
It's one thing to tell people you've had a paranormal experience. It's another matter entirely when multiple people are able to confirm that experience. It makes you feel less crazy when you know you're not alone. One experience me and other friends like to talk about is the time that we were outside around a glass table. One of my friends asked if we could pass him our tin of tobacco so he could roll a cigarette. And no sooner than he finished the sentence did the only empty chair left at the table began to shake violently. I mean, this was dramatic. Me and another friend close to it began scooting away so it wouldn't hit us. The tobacco tin was on the table directly in front of this chair. And just as dramatically as it started, the chair immediately calmed down. And the tobacco tin slid so gently across the table and stopped in front of the friend who requested it. We have to talk about it when we get together, just so we can all re-spark our belief of the paranormal. Does anyone else have any similar experiences? Ooh, this one gives me chills, but like in a good way. It's one thing to experience something yourself, but it's another when multiple people experience it too. And I love that the person said that because it's so true. I mean, can you imagine just one person explaining to a bunch of people that this chair all of a sudden started moving violently and then the tobacco tin moved? People would be like, no, there's no way. But you have 3 other people to confirm it. So either you're all tripping or it actually happened, which I'm going to go with. Obviously, it actually happened because it's like when my mom and I were in her kitchen and I was on one side of the kitchen, she was on the other, and where the cabinets meet in the corner, there was a cup with a spoon in it, and the spoon started shaking in the cup back and forth, and it was like ting, 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 and then it just stopped. And my mom and I looked at each other like, did you see that? And yeah, that totally happened. But it's nice. It's nice when somebody else experiences it with you because then you both saw it. And then, of course, like we tried to debunk it because that was just the craziest thing I think I've ever had. Well, one of the craziest things I think I've ever had. But nonetheless, this story's wild because the person who asked for the tobacco tin got the tobacco tin, but not because of one of their friends. There's definitely some ghostly friend at the table with this little group. And they were like, hold on, I got this. And then they slid it to the person. That's what I'm going with. That's what I'm telling myself. Because what else could it be? It's weird. It's wild. I love it. It gives me chills in the right way. But let me know what you guys think it was. And if you have a paranormal story like either story today or a paranormal story in general, send it my way. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And well, it's an odd world after all. Oddballs. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to leave 5 stars or thumbs up on whatever podcast platform you listen on. If you have any comments for this episode, comment below or head over to Instagram and comment on this episode's preview. To submit a story or for more information, go to itsanoddworldafterall.com.